Okay, so we have a beautiful mess here. We did the shrimp shells. These are jumbo, raw, wild cut prawn shrimp shells, and the legs and the tails from about 10 big shrimp. And after we put some olive oil, some very good olive oil, some butter, and some very delicious culinary oil, culinary algae oil, $3.99 at grocery outlet instead of $10 elsewhere. Then after about 3 or 4 minutes of kind of searing, sauteing the shells, this gives them a lot of flavor. When you do this, it's just like using a chicken bone or a bone. If you like to make a broth, you start by browning the shells with some oil, which you would brown the bones normally in an oven or in a pan, both either. And then I hit it with some little red peppers. These are a little bit spicy, but not much. They just look like it. Don't be scared. I don't remember the name of this one. Sorry. And some red onions and some chopped garlic, chopped fresh garlic. I hit it with some organic cilantro here. And when I did all that, then I added some water because I'm just making like a broth with this. And I'm using really good spring water, by the way. When I go all the way snob, I go all the way snob. Sometimes I don't use, organic water, but I didn't have any broth. So I kind of like wet it and I let it reduce a couple times. I added a little salt because I used salted butter, so there was already a little layer of salt. Then I used a little bit of pink salt with pepper also with this mixture. Also some dill. I'm going to add some paprika, but I'm not going to do that until I add more liquid. So I've added liquid a few times now, the water, to make like a shrimp broth. As you can see, there's not much liquid left. The purpose of that was just to draw out a lot of the shrimp flavor. Now I'm going to add, I happen to have some nice organic whole milk. You can use a cream of chicken broth. You can use anything you want, but this is not going to taste as good if you use like a soy milk or an almond milk. Almond milk might be okay if it's unsweetened and whole. Coconut milk would also be really good with this, obviously, for those of you that like that kind of flavors, which I definitely do. But I'm not going for sweet at all. I'm going for 100% savory with this. So now that I added, you can see all the lovely flavors that are moving around here. Now that I did that, I actually have some Moroccan paprika from Morocco. A friend got when they went over there recently. Actually, it was last year. But they gave me they said, what do you want from Morocco? And I said, I just want spices. So I put it in this container. Originally, this was from Cost Plus, but I love this container. So this is a smoked paprika. And since I'm doing this one-handed, we're just gonna put some in there. Don't be shy. Not only does it give it a beautiful color, it gives it a smoky flavor. Now, at this point, if you want to add more liquid, you want to add it all now, because this, if you add more liquid later, the new liquid won't be as flavored as the original liquid. So I'm gonna actually come over here, I keep my spring water in a big container here. I'm gonna add probably, that's like a cup, because I'm gonna reduce some of this, and I know this will need a little more salt. Not a ton, but a little more salt. So my shrimp is over here, and I'm not going to cook it till the last minute. It's going to cook in this liquid in no time. But we're using the shells to their maximum. Then we're going to go and remove the shells. Now you can do that a couple different ways. You can do it with tongs and just remove the big pieces. The little legs won't hurt that much. If you want to remove everything, then I'll use a strainer. Like this bad boy, strain it. That's going to also strain out all your veg and everything though too. So decide if you want to do that or not. Just depends on, how you want to do it. You also can do the shells for a little while first. Take out all the little legs because you can see them easily at that point. and then just leave the big pieces and then remove those later. You can do it any way you want. So while we're waiting, we're going to marinate our shrimp, but not too much. Just a little bit of salt and some black pepper. Where's black pepper? Here we go. Honestly, I don't want a lot because you can, honestly, you can make this bisque and reduce it a little bit, and you can put the shrimp in, put the lid on, and turn it off and leave it. And they might be cooked enough in just 3 or 4 minutes. Most likely they would be. But we love to eat this broth. This broth is like, oh, so heavenly. I also put dill in here. I don't know if I mentioned this. You can see the little peppers. I have another pepper here to chop up and put in here, but I figured one is good. And I'm going to make shrimp sandwiches is what we're going to make. But when I make shrimps, if I have shells, I never waste them. I use them and make flavor out of them. So I took off the shells, then I deveined the shrimp really well, because poop is still poop even if it's wild caught. Wild caught poop. Don't eat the poop. It's not going to kill you, but the fact is the toxicity of the shrimp, a lot of that is in the poop. So don't eat poop if you can. So I'm just stirring this around, making sure there's nothing else stuck to the bottom. I did my shells a little bit dark of a browning. So I just want to make sure, because all that stuff that sticks, that's the good stuff. So now I don't want this to get too, you can see it's not, and you can taste it now too. Let's see, tasting is a good idea. This is boiling, so remember this is boiling. Blow it. It's tasting very good. It's actually not salty enough, which is fine, because we're gonna just, like, that is done right now. The shells, the saute, the making the bisque here. This is done, but I want to let it cool slightly before I decide to strain it and everything, and it can just sit there. Now my company isn't coming for a little bit, so I don't really want to, cook these yet. But I'm leaving them out for about 30 to 45 minutes. It's better if they're room temperature. They're going to cook more evenly and non-chewy and tough, etc. So we're going to put a lid on this while we wait. Keep the buggies off. Put our organic milk away wherever we put the lid. There it is. And we'll show you the next steps, because we're going to make a mayonnaise, a spicy mayonnaise with sriracha, mayonnaise, dill, salt, pepper, garlic, little cumin, and some paprika. That's usually what I put in there. Oh, and you must use a nice spicy brown mustard for the best sauce. Okay, we'll go to the next step soon.